Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon, 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. Hope everybody's doing well. Good morning, Timor. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. You see, we got a lot of 3D printers here. We do everything from unboxings like the X1C, K1C, 3D printer builds, prototyping like the box turtle, trad rack, things like that. But today, we're going to take some of this knowledge that we've built from building 3D printers, working on 3D printers, electronics on 3D printers, and everything, and we're going to apply it to a preservation style restoration of a Singer sewing machine. This is a machine from December 1949, January 1950, based on the serial number. And they there was a batch of 50,000 issued in December 1949. Based on how close this serial number is and the fact they issued another batch for the Model 15 in March of 1950. That's why I'm trying to say it's most likely December 49 to January 1950 based on the serial number. This particular sewing machine belonged to Mrs. Dragon's grandmother. So this is a family heirloom. Why we're not trying to like strip it all the way down, do a full repaint and try and find new decals and all that stuff. I want to bring it back to uh, good working order, clean it up. Um, it kind of has a funk to it right now. And that's basically just years of machine oil sitting, right? Machine oil and grease. I'm going to be interested to see once we get into the actual motor and start cleaning that up, just how much crud and congealed grease is up in there. But yeah, hope everybody's doing well this morning. Welcome in, Timor. Hey, Rob C. How's it going? Mr. Wizix. Hope everybody's doing well. Yes, we got our coffee. I've already had one cup, and Mrs. Dragon just brought in Dunkin'. There's not much left in this cup because most of it's sitting in a larger Yeti already, staying warm. In fact, I should probably fill this cup up a little bit more. I also have no idea if, we'll just say Grandma Dragon was a smoker. So I have no idea if some of what I'm seeing here could potentially be uh, nicotine and stuff like that. Don't know. Never asked the question, honestly. All I know is I've already gone through a couple of rounds of machine oil on the base, just trying to loosen up. Um, yeah, no working well. Well, it's working, but it's going to take time, is what it is. Um, you've got 75 years of use on this machine, and some of it's sitting. So yeah, your mom had a foot pump Singer in the original wood count. There you go. So a treadle style. So a treadle would have normally wrought iron legs with a wood top and a wrought iron thing that was probably about like that wide, as long as it needed to be, and you would basically pedal it with your feet, and it'd use a long leather belt that would come up onto the hand wheel, or what looks like the hand wheel, to drive it. In this case, this is model 1591, which is what they would refer to as a potted motor. It's a 120 volt motor, and potted, it's a brushed motor, right? Um, yeah, rancid oil is a usually bad smell. Exactly. So you've got rancid oil, old grease, dust, grime. Um, yeah. So let me go ahead and Yeah, new merch is here. As you can see, we've got coffee mugs. This is dark mode, aka dark. It's got the new channel logo on it. These are 12 and 15 ounce, I believe. We have these in light mode, which would be 12, 15, and 20 ounce, so they get a little bit bigger. We'll be trying to hydrate some today and actually drinking water. So we've got our water bottle. This is dark mode. We also have light mode. And we've got some shirts. This is the one in black. The other one I've had is charcoal gray, and I can't remember the third color that I made available. And these shirts are pretty good. They're a little bit heavier, but that's nice. They're um, like the Pezlish t-shirts, um, Modbot stuff like that. They're they're thinner, which means they're cooler. They still hold up great. I love the like the heathered look um, compared to some of the solids, but this is a decent shirt. I was a little concerned when I started off with, but it's good. Had to go with the white mug because the 20 ounce exactly. Your logo looks great on both mug and shirt. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, is Gunk or Simply Green a product you would use for this? So hey, Iconic Fab, yep. Welcome in. Low Sync, welcome in. Acetone and brake fluid, negative. Gunk, Simple Green, not sure. Here's the thing. Um, I'm not sure if it'll show up. Let me see about zooming in on the right camera. Yep. Okay, so we're gonna zoom in here. And you can see I have this on an absorbent mat. It's actually referred to as a pig mat. Um, don't know why, but yeah, it's the name of it, pig mat, universal leak and spill pads. So I did that just in case I get machine oil and stuff. It's basically to keep my surface free, or keep this from getting a bunch of stuff all over it, right? Um, other things, assorted sets of screwdrivers. I may even have to break out the iFixit. Majority of the stuff on here is going to be flathead. Whoops. Majority of the stuff here is going to be flathead. So I got my nice Husky flatheads out here. I also got, Phillips head as well if we run into some of those. Um, Cotton swabs. I just went out and bought a whole pack dedicated to this job, as well as cotton balls. Okay. This paint is a lacquer finish. So this is a cast um, frame here, and it's black lacquer, couple of coats. Then they added these decals on, and then there's a couple of other coats of a clear lacquer. So what we may be seeing is some yellowed lacquer, just dingy, that needs to be woken up and preserved. But if I can turn this some, okay, you see this gloss here? Like this area right here, doesn't look like there's much gunk on it, right? This is really nice and glossy. This has had nothing but machine oil put on it, and I've gotten some stuff off of it after letting that machine oil sit for a little while. Now let me see if I turn it this way, if I can. Okay. Now you see there's like a little land area right here. There's some stuff up in here, right? This looks like caked on gunk. There's actually a physical change in elevation on the surface. Now, what my thought was at first was, okay, this might be the black lacquer. This raised area that's kind of got a film to it could be the clear coat lacquer that's over the top of it, right? Um, and it still could very well be that, because this what feels like buildup here is right over the top of some of the decal work, and I can see some of this decal in this area that's been removed. However, just riding my finger over it, like right here specifically, there's a big raised, like it's a hump, right? So there I'm coming along, and all of a sudden there's a hump right here. So that tells me that is some built up gunk. And because this is 75-year-old lacquer, I want to be very, very careful of what I put on this because there's a mechanical bond here. And if I break that mechanical bond, that lacquer's coming off. I really don't want to destroy these decals either. I think I might be able to get a fresh set of decals somewhere, but I haven't found them. Right? So that's where I'm saying preservation. I also don't want to completely strip the paint off and repaint it because then we lose the fact that, right, this is a used and loved machine, right? These decals are worn through because of use. I want to preserve that, kind of like preserving the patina on an old car, right? Because this was Eagle the Dragon and Mrs. Dragon's grandmother, right? This was this is family working on this. This is not just something new that I went down to the local antique store and picked up. This is family heirloom. So I'm preserving this and restoring it to a preserved state so that it can go and continue down in the family. Right. Hey, Sigarecki, how's it going? Rob, C. Conum, Assembler, welcome in. pH neutral degreasers preferred to not hurt anything. Exactly. Many degreasers are acidic. I don't want to use anything that would be like acetone based. I don't want to use IPA because they're solvents. And solvents may chemically debond this lacquer. The only thing that I can say for sure will not impact this lacquer is sewing machine oil, because that was the one thing that was guaranteed to be all over this machine to keep it in good working order would be sewing machine oil, right? Now, with that said, a lot of this buildup that I think I'm seeing right here and many of the places around here could be sewing machine oil and lent and just cruft. So I may literally have to let sewing machine oil sit on this base for a while to soak in and break free some of this, right? There's several things, like surprisingly enough, the screws here, the screw on the front, in fact, that's where we're going to start today, is taking the front off. Um, all right, I'm going to stop 1 second and just say, hey, Halo Sync, hey, Shrimp Father, how's it going? Waters, what's up? How's it going? Hey, Waters, I saw that ask this morning about glow in the dark filament. If you guys don't have any, yeah, I've got some. Just saying, if you guys, uh, if that person needs it today for a project, you know, have them ping me on Discord. If you guys are out, of course, I'm not going to try and steal a sale or anything from you. I'm just saying, if you're out and that person needs it, we can figure it out. Um, so what I'm going to do here, this front plate is obviously dingy, right? And I was afraid I was going to have to disassemble the tensioner before I can even get this off, but that's not the case. This screw right here, you'll back it off and it's got the keyhole in it. So this should be able to slide up. Now, okay, there it is. I just broke it free a little bit. This should be able to slide up and come off as a whole piece. But you can see, and I just broke my coffee cup. Great. That was good. Drop the coffee, or drop the piece, broke the coffee cup. Piece is fine. Okay. But you'll see on the back here, right? There's some fairly clean metal there. This is all going to be oil on the edge, so we're going to clean that up. But look how much stuff and gunk is on the front edge of this. I mean, this should be even shinier than this right here. So we're going to work on cleaning this up. We'll take this whole tensioner assembly apart, bag it up. We've got plenty of little snack baggies and other baggies, so we can bag everything up. And this whole tensioning mechanism right here still turns and works extremely well. You know, more tension, less tension, you can still see all the numbers. So there's no need to buy replacements for this, but we are going to take it down and just clean it up and get all of the gunk and stuff off of here. And if need be, because this is straight metal part, like the blackened part here, I'll be careful of, but pieces like this that are straight metal, we'll try some IPA, right, to get some of that off. We'll try some other stuff, and if need be, I did grab, for parts that I can take off, I did grab some vapor rust. So if you're not familiar with this, a vapor rust is perfectly safe. You can pour it into a jar, put your parts in it, just let it soak, rinse it off with water, and pour the contents back into the jug here. This is a plastic jug, which means I can use a plastic container to put stuff in. But anything touching the lacquer paint for right now, I'm going to try and be very, very careful on what solvents I get near this paint. But if I can take the metal parts off like this, we're going to take them off and we'll clean them separately away from the paint so that we can do that stuff. And when I say I just broke my cup, I mean it came down on the handle and I have now broken my handle. I don't know if anything went in the cup, but yeah. I'm going to need a replacement cup of coffee or a replacement cup at some point. Now let me get you guys in here a little bit more. We'll bring you in here a little bit closer and see the inner workings here, right? So once again, if I turn the handle, you'll see the mechanisms going up. This is moving too, so everything is still moving in here nice and freely, which is great. But there's a lot of discoloration. There's a lot of just badness here. So we're going to be taking all of this stuff off. We're going to be taking pictures. I do have the service manual so that we can get into this. And Eagle, all I've done is taken this plate off, right? So this plate just sits right on there like that. This screw screws down. So we back this out. I'm going to go ahead and take it all the way out now. But in normal usage, you would just back this screw out and this whole plate could slide up and then off. And we're going to take this entire tensioning system apart. This is the tensioning for the thread. We're going to take this apart and we're going to clean all of this gunk off, right? We've got all this gunk down here. This is probably machine oil. Some of it may be rust, but we'll get all of this cleaned off, make it shiny. I did order some metal polish so I can polish this up. I do have some sandpaper as well if there's some rust, so I can try and sand it down. We got the Evapor rust that we can use. And when I say sandpaper, I'm talking 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500 grit. So this is really, really fine grained sandpaper. Do not grab like 60 and 80 grit and try and work on this stuff, right? This is 75-year-old metal here, right? It should be fine, but don't push your luck. Um, a lot of the screws and stuff down here are all free. This top piece right here is pretty stuck. I put some oil on it. This is setting tension on this spring, so we will need to take this out so I can clean. I might try and leave these rods in rather than try and disconnect all the linkage, and just clean these in place as best as I can. We'll see. But like this is completely stuck. I put some oil in there and let it sit. Um, I'm, I'm, I just ordered some broil, um, which is a penetrating oil and lubricant. So I'll try and get a little bit down in there and see if that'll break free once it gets in. But the whole purpose of this is we're trying to get the back end torn down, get the light off and stuff to make it easier to move around. Things like this. This arm comes in and there is a screw that you can access through this side hole. Let me slide so much easier. So there is a large screw in here. So we're going to use our bigger screwdriver if possible. Yep, that one's in there tight. So that's also going to need to be some oil or some penetrating oil to try and get that. Now this is an actual screw. It's a metal screw. I just want to be careful that I do not shear a head off of those. Oop. I think I just got, yep, broke that one free good. Not broke it, but broke the threads free. So that's falling out, of course. There we go. And then this lever can come out. And once again, you can see all of the caked on gunk on there that we're going to want to get off. And that's the bolt head and stuff. That's good there. What I will do is I will bag up anything that I'm taking off of the front so that it all stays together and I know where things go. But you're going to see that a lot. Some screws are going to come straight off. Others are going to be a bit more difficult to get done. And I just want to be very, very careful. Like this looks like a pen. It does not have any type of slot in it. We'll have to see about that. Like I said, I don't want to start taking this linkage out. I really want to get this out, be able to get this spring up, and then we can work on cleaning this up. And I want to make sure that I'm taking this front section apart very carefully. For now, I'm just trying to get a few of those parts off, and I will, like I said, bag this stuff up so that I don't lose things. And I am going to try and work on cleaning some of this stuff. Like in fact, got a little jar here, apparently with some JST connectors in it. This is some 91% IPA. Come on. I'm just going to put some IPA in here. And let's take a couple of these smaller screws and this arm Just realized that's a bearing surface, but it's like peened in. So I'm going to take this arm and just set it down in there like that. It won't be fully covered, but we're going to set that in there like that. We're just going to set it off to the side and see what that does and if it starts breaking things down. This I'm going to toss in the bag and set aside as well. This is going to take a little bit more love and breaking down. But we're going to come around here to the back because one of the things we want to do is get this motor off, get the light switch off or the light itself off, because we need to get in here. We're going to have to redo all this wire. This wire is complete junk. So we've got a thumb screw. Now, normally what you'd be able to do is just back this thumb screw off, and this would rotate one way or the other, and you can get in here and oil and grease your machine workings. But here you can't, because of the light and then the motor fixture. So we just have to take it completely off. Once again, just a lot of dust, debris, and crud in here. And this we should be able to shine up almost to a chrome-like finish. The thumb screw here, we're going to go ahead and dump that over there in our isopropyl alcohol and let that start doing its thing. Yeah, it's definitely tradition. Thanks for the lurk, Waters. Hey, Papa Bear Yellnuts, welcome in. You looked at that sewing machine. I looked at that sewing machine I showed you. It's a domestic 755 made by White Sewing Machine. Very nice, Cruise Girl. Yeah, feel free to post that in the Dragon Den Discord. Hello, Eagle. Like I said, I broke the handle on my coffee cup. That sucks. I'll have to get another one. Those knobs are probably melamine. So a lot of stuff on here, it's not melamine, it's Bakelite. So you'll see that a little bit later. Like I snapped the head of this screw off right here, which is the, I think these are for the brushes. I snapped one off. It's the screws at the top and bottom that are covering up the brushes. This is Bakelite plastic. That's why it snapped. So before I go to try and get the other one out, I will put some type of penetrating oil on it, like the Croil, and see if I can get that done. Are you going to CAN bus? No, I'm not going to CAN bus for this. Interesting, though, that you ask. This wire, because Bakelite will crack, and it will crack easily. In fact, this this light shroud up here does have a crack in it. I'm trying to see if I can find one of these online so I can get a replacement for this piece right here. The Bakelite, you need to be very careful of the wires that you get. I was reading, and it needs to be 18-2, so 18 gauge wire, two conductors, which is what this is. SPT 1. So SPT is the insulation, I'll say gauge, thickness of the insulation. If you go with SPT-2, which you think thicker insulation, that would be better, you're going to have problems getting it into the fixtures. And because of that, when you go to close the fixtures back up, you have a greater chance of cracking this Bakelite. And once it's cracked, it's done for. You're looking for EG green pieces. Where is muddy? You want me to go get muddy? I'll go get muddy. I will go get muddy. That's Pisces, right? EG green Pisces. Yeah, I'll go get muddy. So we've already had our first casualty. I broke the handle on my coffee cup when I dropped the front piece here. But that's good. Yeah, give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, everybody. So EG Green Pisces is my DM, and we came across this little guy in our party. He is a mudkin named Mutty, and he is my bestest buddy now and my companion in our adventures. So he gave me this little guy to go with my dragonborn fighter. So this is Mudty. You were kidding? Oh, I know you were kidding. Mutty's my friend. You're right. I should have Mutty here. Hey, Pez Liz, how's it going? How's it going? Okay, so now that we took this cover plate off, we'll be able to get in here to the workings and see how everything moves around and stuff. And I'll bring you guys in closer in a little bit. There is a screw right here that holds this arm on for the lamp. So I need to get this screw out. Once again, be careful, and this one's going to move pretty easily, which is nice. And this should be a shorter screw because it's going into the side of the housing there. Okay, and it's actually captive in there, which is even better. And this is the screw that would be why this is so loose. So I'm going to go ahead and undo these screws because it doesn't look like this one, or this would be the one why it was probably loose. Anyhow, these screws do not look the same, which tells me that somebody replaced on a screw here at some point, because they are two completely different screws. Whoops. We have dropped a screw and we dropped our first amount of gunk out of there. So I go down to get the other screw and drop the screw that was in my hand. Where did it go? We have a lost screw. Now we'll find it when I step on it later without my shoes on. Okay, so screw, once again, we're going to drop that in the IPA. Found the majority of my coffee cup handle. And this would be why I'm trying to get this off. So let me bring you guys in here. So we've got electrical tape here, so somebody's been trying to keep this going. But this stuff right here should not be able to bend at such an extreme angle. That tells me that all of this insulation here is gone. It is just crumbling apart. So that's why we're going to rewire this. This is in no way, shape, or form safe. We do have a glass shroud that's pretty foggy, so we're going to have to clean this up. We'll take that and wash it in the washing machine. We do have a bulb in here. I have no idea if it would work. So that'll be interesting to see if it still works. I am going to order a couple of new bulbs. That's no big deal. You'll have these two rings that are going around these. So this is bakelite. This side strip up to this point and up to this point is actually painted metal, and it's just clamped on there. So this is basically clamping the glass and the shroud together. You slide it on, and then these circular clamps go on to hold everything as one piece. We'll be taking this apart. We'll be rewiring this switch. Once again, being extremely careful, because if we crack this bakelite like we have, not sure if I can get the right light, you can see a crack right here that snakes around and comes right up here. So when I take this apart, I got to be very careful with this upper cover, because I'm going to need to keep this as best as I can. I might be able to epoxy it on the inside so that you'll still see the crack, but I don't want to necessarily see the repair if I can keep from it. Hey, Hutch Makerspace, how's it going? Um, yeah. So now what we need to do is we're going to turn this around and see if I can get the angle here. So here is our outlet, or our inlet, really. So the outlet that we have is a 3-pin outlet that'll slide right in here. It's Bakelite. This outer case right here is Bakelite as well. Once again, we need to be fairly careful with it. And this top roundover is the screw that holds this outlet to the metal support bracket. So I need to take that screw out, and it is once again a flathead screw. And I'm trying to be, once again, very careful and applying the torque or pressure to get these out. I don't think I'm going to shear the head off of a metal screw. But like I couldn't tell that this was plastic and not metal until I snapped the head off. Then it dawned on me. And this screw, once again, is holding on this Bakelite fixture. So this is a plastic fixture being held on with that screw. So once again, we're going to dump that in the IPA to just let it start doing its thing. And we want to make sure that we understand the wiring here. I do have a wiring diagram, but the light goes to the 2 outer pegs. The motor wire coming from the inlet is going to the middle and the outer peg. And that's something to be aware of. I am going to take a picture of this real fast so that I have that visual. So probably going to see me take a lot of pictures, and here's all the gunk that's starting to come off on my hands. I was thinking I probably should do a wear gloves, but so be it. These are Bakelite screw down terminals, so once again, be careful with these. These are basically plastic inserts that have heat press inserts basically in them, injection molded Bakelite. Okay, so I did get new ones of these just in case any of these got broken. And this one, the middle one, was really loose. It was not clamping anything. This one was pretty loose as well. So this one was the only one that was actually fairly tight. There's those Bakelite screw caps. That here, and we'll put this in a case. And you'll notice that's bare wire. This has a terminal on it. So the light was, oh yeah, the light was put on with just bare wire. So this kind of tells me that maybe this was rewired at some point, because this should have had the um, screw terminals on it, right? So I've got new ones of these. Like I said, I'm going to be completely junking all of this wire and redoing it. Yeah, I cannot express to you how crappy this wire is and these terminals are, and just how much stuff is coming off on these terminals. So fairly flexible in this wire, but yeah, it's got to be replaced. These connections are tentative at best. So yeah, we're going to be replacing all of this. We're going to properly crimp stuff. Yeah, just the amount of rust and crud that's coming off on this is nasty. I'm going to wipe my hands down, and I will throw on some gloves because this is going to get nasty if not. I'm just cleaning my hands real fast off camera with some IPA. A lovely smell. A little disinfectant-y. And I did grab my nitrile gloves, so I am expecting to find some fairly well hardened grease in the motor when we take the motor off of here. Um, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It may not be completely hardened, but it's going to be thick. Wonder if you can make Bakelite screws at home. Probably, and I mean, I don't know if you can tell, like there is some, there we go, some decent corrosion on these pens, so they're not going to be conducting as well as they could. So we're going to work on cleaning those pens up once again. Um, there is like one washer on here. I didn't see any of the other copper washers. I did get new, copper washers to go on here. Those are straight. I wonder if these can unscrew out. Don't seem to be. But yeah, this is all plastic, and so it looks like we've got a hairline crack in this Bakelite. So I am probably going to order another one of these. There's no sense not to if I can go and order a new one that doesn't have this crack. Yes, this would be nice to restore, but a crack on the lower housing, and thought there was another one at the top. I mean, that's going to be, to me, safety. And I want to make sure that this is safe. Whoever in the family gets this later on, I want them to be able to use it. And I would really, really prefer not to have something that's cracking and broken. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to my next order and get one of these added in so that we can properly rewire this and stay safe at the same time. Put this stuff together as well. I mean, we got new caps, we got new washers. We might as well get new receptacles to make sure that everything stays safe. Okay, now the motor wires are out here. In order to get the motor off, we need to take this handle off. And I can already tell that there's something wrong with this handle because this should be able to move. It could just be that they tighten this screw down and it's not able to have to get a thinner screwdriver for that. So let me grab my iFixit kit out. Yeah, that's not moving at all. So either they got this was this was assembled backwards, or something of that nature. So we'll pull that screw out. You'll notice that this screw has, whoops, it's a, where are we at here? There we go. It's got threads and then like a shoulder or a pin at the top. We're used to seeing threads at the bottom and the shoulder closer to the screw head itself. This is the opposite way, because this is to provide a stopping mechanism for this handle. So this handle, and it's not moving at all, should be able to clock about a quarter of a turn. And what that does is it disengages the shaft that goes through the unit and runs the needle. That way the motor can still spin to do the automated bobbin winding. So that is on there. I have to take the glove off, otherwise I'm just going to shear the or rip the glove off anyhow. So take the glove off. Okay, there we go. Okay. So once again, lots of built up gunk and stuff on there. I could probably just take a brush and knock some of this off, and then we'll just dump this into the IPA. Just going to use our standard brush real fast over here. And you know, use the brush real fast. Try and knock some of the lint and grime off of it. Check the threads. Yep, threads look pretty good. So once again, we're going to take this and add it to our IPA. And what you'll see here in this piece is there's a like a pressure washer plate here. So the way this works is you've got these two little keyed spots that will link up with this nut here. Let me see if I can shed some light on it. Okay, so you see that we've got these two cutouts in this end plate here, right? So the cutouts on this will slip in there, and these little raised pins are the stops that screw will click into. And once again, this is just kind of caked up and gunked up. So into the IPA that'll go to start doing some breaking down there. And we'll let that get started. Now the next thing is this whole wheel assembly needs to get pulled forward and off. So let me move this light out of the way because I don't want to damage that. So I believe, yep, there we go. The wheel assembly comes off. There we go. And look at all of the gunk that's on that. We're going to be cleaning on that for a bit. That's some nastiness. I'm not even sure. Get the base lint off the side, the back of the hand wheel, and let me see if I can't get. Yeah, this is old grease, and this is part of what we're going to need to get out. Is this grease, because there was some grease even in the threads. So I'm surprised it was moving with the amount of grease and gunk that's in it. That's fairly gunked up. So we will we'll work on taking this out so I can remove the set screws, pop the, I believe that's a bearing right there. This gear is what's going to mesh with a worm drive that's down here in this motor. I'm going to try and get some of this excess grease out of the way for now, because there are 2 screws at the back of this panel. And let me see if I can't lift the back of this up so you can see this. Raise this up some, lift this up some. You see the 2 big screws on either side of the central shaft? That's what's holding the whole motor mechanism onto the back of the sewing machine. So if I can get those 2 screws broken free and taken out, then we can take the whole motor assembly and our bobbin spooler assembly off, and now we can work on this on the bench and kind of move everything else off to the side. So that's the next order of operation here, is to get that done. Um, Doing good. Keila, how's it going? So we're working on our Singer sewing machine. As I said, I've wiped this down some, but you can still see the amount of old grease that are in these gears and up into the threads and everything. So we've got to clean this up good. I think this is a bushing or bearing. I'm not sure if I'll take this apart any more than it is right now, but I do need to clean this up so that when we re-grease it with fresh grease, it just won't mix up and get all gunked up. But I think they keep saying that I don't think this gear is metal. I think this actual gear here is some type of plastic and not metal. So yeah, I do want to be somewhat careful when I get in there and start getting that. We're making sure that none of the teeth are broken or excessively worn. And once again, this is a worm drive. So that's why these are cut at an angle or a helical style gear. And they're going to attach to this worm drive in here that you'll see once I pull this motor housing completely off. I'm going to try and use the really big screwdriver here. I wish I could angle this up some. I want to be careful because the front of this is sitting on the bobbin housing. So is this? No, so this screwed, whoop, nope, there it is. So let's see. And from what I hear, these particular things, these 2 bolts right here, seize a lot. So meaning they're going to be extra fun to get out. And this might be a good place where you're going to need some either some application of heat or some good penetrating oil, or to put some oil in there. The other thing that you could potentially do, dead blow hammer, right? Not a big heavy hammer. I'm going to put my screwdriver in the head of the screw and lightly tap. Basically, it's like doing a hammer. Oh God. Yep, that is not coming off. Um, so let's apply a little bit of heat. Take these gloves off because I'm going to be sweating like crazy in them. And I need a drink of coffee. You can also use a rubber band. Well, the problem is this thing is, it's not that the screwdriver is loose or the screw is stripped. These screws were basically almost like torqued on there at the factory 70 something years ago. So it's I think the issue here is it's just been in place forever. I don't know if they put any Loctite on it or anything like that from the factory. I don't even know if Loctite was a thing back then. But I am going to put a little bit of heat in here. I'm going to, after I get a plug outlet over there for the heat gun. I forgot that the outlet that I normally had at the bench is now behind the rat rig. Oh, so while we're here, and I'm working on doing this, let me come back out here. Since I know that E.G. Green, so just to give you a heads up of what my office and printing facility looks like, because once again, he's my DM. I chat with them every week on Fridays. So my rat rig IDEX, my 5-head tool changer. Oh, why are you not? Why is that not working now? Oh yeah, I'm not gonna heat it up too much. Here's some of my other printers that are behind me. And this is not all of them. There's a whole bunch of them downstairs as well, or underneath this on the lower part of the shelf. So show off, yep. Not necessarily showing off. I'm just basically saying that I have the capability to print just about anything you want. And if you want resin, then you know you have Evil Diesel. So we're just going to use a heat gun. And I'm just going to apply a little bit of heat in there. And I have no idea why this is being stupid on me. I don't think it got, nope, didn't get worked out. So I don't know why my Stream Deck just decided to poop out on me, but we're going to apply a little bit of heat. I'm just going to apply some heat in this area. I did wipe as much of the grease out as I could. A lot of it's just congealed. Hey, Chewy, how's it going? Once again, I'm just going to put some localized heat in there. Maybe some on the outer casing as well. Like I said, we're just going to try and break this free. And if I can't just yet, that's Yes, it's okay. We can try and put a little bit of sewing machine oil in there. Come on. Nope. All right, that one cracked. That's or not cracked in a bad way. That one cracked loose. This one, electric heat with wires. Yeah, yeah. Okay, Sigareki, well, take care. Stay safe. Ah, yeah, that's so I don't have any penetrating oil at the moment. So I'm gonna just use some sewing machine oil and we'll just see if we can't get some sewing machine oil up and around that screw. And we'll let that sit in there for a few minutes while I continue to work on some other stuff. I'll go ahead and take this front cover off. Some old nasty felt strips. Another thumb screw. Goodness gracious. Another thumb screw. And thought it looked like it had a grommet on it or a washer. And if it did, that part is gone. But so another thumb screw, nice and dingy. We're going to go ahead and take that, set it in the IPA with the rest of it. Just let it soak a little bit. And then we'll try and work it off. We've got a flathead screw up here at the top. See if we can get this out cleanly. Yep. Yeah, a lot of these screws are coming out pretty nice and cleanly, which is nice. One at the bottom too that I didn't see. Okay, once again, kind of nasty on the inside. This is a black painted plate on the outside. So we'll make sure to clean that up uh, nicely away from the bench. A lot of oil on the face of this. And when I say oil, I mean some really, or actually, I thought that was oil. It's not oil, it's a plate, but the plate itself has a bunch of gunk and oil on it. So we'll put this in the place. Same thing with the back there, a bunch of gunk. You can see where I just wiped my finger over it. So this all has to get cleaned up. Um, we'll put those two things together. And this is, I believe, the tensioner up front, and this, I believe, it works to be the Number of threads or the speed? One of the two. I think it's the number of threads per inch. All right, sounds good. Yeah, we'll see you later. I'll stream probably until about 2-ish, and then I'll head over and see you for your birthday celebration. Um, yeah, so let's see if we can't bring you guys in here and I'll show you or try to show you how much gunk is up in here once again. All of this is dried on, and I do mean dried on grease and gunk and garbage. So we're going to have to work on cleaning this up. Once again, we'll probably use, because this is um, the actual lacquer, what we'll wind up doing is using just some sewing machine oil to start with. We'll put a few dabs of sewing machine oil up here. And this is where I got cotton balls and the Q-tips, because what we'll be able to do is like take some Q-tips, some of that oil in the Q-tip there, and then we'll be able to bring this in and clean. It's going to take a while, right? This is not going to be cleaned real fast because we want to be careful, but I mean, this is all the nastiness that's coming off with just very little. Even up here, you can see how well with just a little bit of oil, we'll let this sit on here and we'll wipe that back off, how this will come back in and shine. But the face of this has so much oil and grease in it that we're going to have to work on cleaning this junk out constantly. Same thing all the way down through here. So let's see if that oil has done anything to help us. Hopefully it did. No, it didn't. Oh, yes it did. Yes it did. There we go. Whew. Go ahead and get these two screws out. Of course, drop the screw down onto the gear. Why not? Drop both of them down there. We had tweezers for these. There's our two screws. We'll grab some shop towel and wipe the excess gunk off of them. There's a bunch of grease on them. So these stay pretty nice and good because they're in there with a bunch of grease. A little bit of a shoulder. Whoops, a little bit of a shoulder on that bolt. Toss in the IPA, let that start doing some of its magic. And once again, just nasty gunk. Okay, now with that bolt or those two screws out, this whole housing should just like that break free. Come on, there we go, and come off. So lots of old grease and stuff in there. Um, oh, cool. So these wires are crunchy. I just broke the um, insulation right there, and there's no grommet, which is a good thing I bought a grommet because there's no grommet right there. So we're gonna have to clean and dress this whole housing up. You can see the sludge that is grease sitting in there. And to show you that this is actually grease, so that is 100% just nasty old grease um, that we need to get out of there, and we'll have to re-grease this whole thing up when we get to it. Um, and once again, there's our worm drive gear that so the gear on our handle here, so this gear meshes with that gear, and that's what drives this whole. Yeah, yummy. And so now I'm going to clean my hands once again off this screen real fast, and because I just started getting grease all in my hands. Let me get some of that back off there, and we'll throw some gloves on and start tearing into the motor. That right over there. Gloves on again. This up, and we'll just scoot that around, and we'll bring our motor up here. So to get this outer housing off, it's not these large screws on the ends. These are just caps. We need to get these smaller screws out. So hopefully, yep, came off fairly easily. All right, there's the motor housing. Once again, there's a little bit of cruft down there, and our armature. This whole thing can slide out, but in order to get that slid out, we need to get uh, the worm gear out of here. So we're gonna have to take and turn our armature. So you see that I'm moving the gear in there, right? And in doing so, there's a couple of set screws in here. And I don't know if I can get the angle. Let me put down my glove real fast so I can grab my phone and turn the light on. So let's see. You see that set screw right over here? There's one on each side. So we need to get those set screws out, and that will allow our center armature here and this gear to be pulled out. Okay. So let me get in here and see if I can't get this set screw undone. I'm not going to do it. I think this might be too wide. I think we're going to be back into the same spot where it's a little locked up. So let's put a little bit of oil on it because the grease that's in there is, like I said, just really nasty. We'll throw some oil on that and let it kind of soak in a little bit, do its thing. Meanwhile, let's work on taking apart our bobbin piece here while that sits. In fact, turn that up so the oil doesn't just run off of it. We're going to work on taking our bobbin spooler piece off. So once again, another fairly big screw. Come on. There we go. And there is a spring on here, so be very careful when you're taking these off. There's springs all over this darn machine, so be very, very careful. Hey, Westry One, how's it going? Hanging out till you get the call. Good. So how you doing, sis? Guess what you started? I don't know. What did you start? All right, so there's another shoulder bolt. And yeah, you see that? There is spring right there, so you got to be careful of that. There's some your spring tensioner, so we'll need to take this off as well. Oofed. Once again, be careful of the spring. So got that screw out. Now lift this up slowly. And there's the spring. We're going to want to work the spring out carefully. Want to clean this up and let it soak and get all that stuff out. There's the shaft for the bobbin. I don't think, yeah, it doesn't appear like it's going to come out. Ah, so that might have a pin. So there's a pin there, and if I turn that 180 degrees, there's a hole. So I might be able to pop that pin out and then get this shaft out, but I'm not sure if I want to do that. I might want to just clean this up. It's spinning very freely. I don't want to deal with any of the any potential bearing issue in there. If the bearings are running good, I'm just going to try and clean that up as best as possible. And I haven't been taking pictures of any of this, but never fear. I do have the adjuster's manual and YouTube. So the biggest thing is keeping the screws with the subassemblies. So that way you can, you're using the right screws to put things back together. Right? Like these were the screws for that lid. that piece. Another, might be another spring right there. Yep, it is. Spring down in here if I can get it out. Come on. There we go. So another tiny little spring. And now uh this is open. So I'll be able to get in here and clean this stuff up nice and good. Um what else? Let's see if this is now been helped out a bit with the oil that we put in there. Getting that out just yet. Another couple drops in there and let it sit. Now, um, while we're waiting on that, take that stuff. I'm running out of room to put stuff over here in the IPA. That stuff's going to need to sit in there a little bit longer. Like I said, I do have some evaporust as well, so if there's any rust, we can get that off. Um, this I think is just a bunch of oil and gunk that's been sitting on there forever, so that's not rust, that's just oil and gunk. That'll come off. Same thing here. I believe that is just oil on the backside of this. This is rust, especially looking at it in the camera close up. So we'll just clean this off, make sure that the bearing surface is nice and clean. Like I said, it's just dirty, filthy is what it is. So we've got this end bolt here as well that we're going to need to take off. So let's see if we can get this out. Sounds like a metal bolt. And I'm just trying to apply slow, consistent pressure. Very, very small metal bolt. And this, having that out, should allow me to poke on this shaft to help knock this shaft out. And then we'll have these two large bolts underneath here that we can take out once again while that oil is working. And these are interesting. These are the grease wicks. So these cover the grease wicks that are at the bottom. So they're actually little like wicks, like you would see in a like a burner. I think what are they, bento burners or whatever. 2D Stitcher. Hey Nick, how's it going? Newer and different way to print it. Nice, nice. It is round. So I'm going to try and get these to. Oh, that one's very nice. So these came off real easily. Ugh, yucky, 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 yucky. Old grease. We'll see what we can just get off there. There's a lot of just grime in the knurls of the screw itself, or the screw head. We'll get some of this gunk off, and then Got a little bit of room there. We'll toss it in there. That one in there. A lot's going in the little jar with IPA. We're going to just let this stuff soak a little bit. You can see the IPA is not looking as fresh and clear. We're going to try and let this stuff sit a little bit, then we'll take it out and wipe it down. See what we can do. Heck, we'll this piece right here that's been sitting in it for a little bit. Take a rag. Wipe down the part that was sitting in it. Not fully clean yet, but we got to layer the gunk off. All right, we're starting to see some progress there. Bearing's still going to move very nicely. The bad thing with IPA is if there was anything in there, that bearing for grease, we're going to have to make sure to get some grease in there because it will clear out that bearing. But yeah, we've got a lot of parts in there now. Going to let that continue to sit and gel in there, do its thing. The other grease wick cap. And like I said, I do have some metal polish coming in. So all of this bright metal stuff, we're going to clean up as best we can with some IPA if I need to. I have some evapo-rust to get rid of any rust that may be generated on the parts. And we'll start to get things put back together after we clean it all up. But it's just years of dirt grime, and like I said, I have no idea when the last time this thing was greased or oiled, and the stench is bad. Okay, so now that that part's done, I'm going to try and keep that oil in the right spot. So you can see down in here, there are some retaining clips, and then there will be the wicks that have springs around them. And all of this gunk needs to come out. So when I say all this gunk needs to come out, old grease. Spring. Wick out with it? Yeah. So there's the spring with the wick in it. Right? Spring with the wick. We're going to keep the spring. We'll clean that off. And the wick, I have to twist the spring off the wick or do like that. And it's a good thing I ordered springs because that wick is hard. This is like a cottony material. I guess it'll bend some, but yeah, this is going in the garbage. I did get new springs and new wick material, so that is coming. So that's why I'll throw that away. There's certain things that are so inexpensive, it does not make sense to try and grab that, or not grab that stuff. It doesn't make sense to try and preserve some of that stuff. Little retainer clip, I'm just trying to work it up and out. So, give you a little idea there. This is a metal clip that's just full of old, hard, I don't want to say hard grease. It's more like a putty at this point. And this clip just sits down in there, and this little tab is what the spring latches under and holds the spring in, so it keeps the wick up and engaged. The that wick, like you would put the wick in there, you'd pack grease around it, and that wick will slowly bring the grease up to the bottom of that worm gear and keep the worm gear greased up. And good God, yes. We are going to have to do our best to get as much of this gunk and crud out, because this is just some old, nasty grease. Like I said, don't worry. I've got the. I'm going to just toss the wick and the spring away because I've got new ones en route. The oh, what am I trying to think of? You know, like I said, there's certain parts that make sense to keep, and there's certain parts that make sense to replace. Things that are consumable, like I don't know, grease wicks and small springs that hold them in. I have no problem replacing those. It's going to be completely internal to the machine. Nobody's going to see it. Ugh. Try and get the bulk of this off, and then I'll just dump it in the IPA and let that start breaking it down some. Okay. Here's the other one of the Bakelite screws for the brushes. This one was not cranked all the way down in there, so that's good. That is plastic Bakelite so that it's insulated. Spring. And that just came off the brush. We'll keep that together. The other one, we snapped the bolt, so I'll have to see if there's enough left that I can try and nope. I'll have to work and figure that one out. Not the end of the world. It's a short piece of plastic. If anything, I can drill that out and just break it out and replace it. For anybody interested, this is a Singer sewing motor, 110, 120 volt, half amp, 25 to 75 cycles, AC to DC. So there you go. There's our motor plate. made in the USA. Let me see if I can get that screw backed out a bit. Wish I can get it to crack with the bigger one. Do I have? I think I got one more size on the flatheads in here. Might be the better one to work with. Gives me a better. Ugaduga? No, Ugaduga? All right, that may have to wait for some true penetrating oil. And I'm pretty darn sure that this is not going to, yeah. Because what happens is the shaft goes through that um, gear. So I basically have to get the gear off the shaft to pull the shaft out for the rotator of the motor. And we'll work on cleaning that up. That'll give us access in here to clean all the excess grease and stuff out of here. This wiring, we're gonna have to pull this out and we'll have to work on that wiring. Going to need some penetrating. 'Don't actually have any. See about wiping this housing down just a little bit. The dust and cruft off. $22 hours? Oh wow. That's gonna be fun. Okay, so we got one access to the one brush. We'll need to remove this from the housing. I get this out while leaving that in. Inquiring minds want to know. on here. Brushes. It's the brushes. One there, but I don't think I can get it out with this in the way. No. All right, so yeah, I am stuck tearing this down until I can get this set screw to back off some. Well, we tried some heat before. Let's try some heat again, and see if that will help. If anything, it'll make the grease a little more fluid. We're not going to get hot enough to set anything on fire. Hopefully, between the oil that we added and the heat, it's going to help with the penetration. Oh God, yeah, it darn sure didn't help with the stink. Whew. Hey, Tech Jeeper, how's it going? Free Heathen, welcome in, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well, and I don't know why my Stream Element deck is spazzing out on me. I seriously don't know why. Let me see if unplug and replug will square it away. But welcome on in, everybody. I hope everybody's having fun today on this great Saturday. My name is Digital Dragon, otherwise known as Luke. You need some penetrating oil, sir. I know I don't have any penetrating oil right now. I have ordered some to come in. I did not see, well, I'm being careful on the selection of what I use. Hey, shenanigans, and yes, you can see I broke my mug. I dropped a piece of the sewing machine on the handle and it broke the mug. But yes, hope everybody's doing well. Hey, Additive, Tech Jeeper, welcome on in, everybody. And Bearded Printer, thank you for the 100 bits earlier. I saw that. I meant to say something and I lost it. But Move, it works well. Yes. So what I'm using right now is a little bit of sewing machine oil, which will help start breaking down some of the gunk, and a little bit of heat. What we're trying to do is get a set screw out from a, hey, it's working again. We're trying to get a set screw out of this worm gear here. Right, there's that set screw. We have to get that off because this shaft on the motor will pull completely out, and then we'll fish the gear out and we'll be able to clean up the rest of the old grease that's up in here. And we'll get the motor apart and we'll be able to, did that move or did the whole thing? I might have to get, so I've ordered some Croyle. But that's going to be in a day or two. I don't know. I can go down to the auto parts store and try and find some. The thing that I'm trying to be careful of is the 75-year-old lacquer paint. Right? We need to be careful that we don't do anything that damages said lacquer paint, because I have no intentions whatsoever of trying to repaint this sewing machine. Right? This is a family heirloom. Right now the shiny you see there is some sewing machine oil that we put on it just to kind of show and illustrate some of the gunk, and we're using soft things like cotton balls, right? And we're using that to basically buff the sewing machine lacquer and get some of the old cruft off, because we don't want to strip the lacquer clear coat, right? We don't want to take off these decals that are under said lacquer clear coat, but we are going to want to remove some of this old oil and stuff that is up in there, right? Um, and if you saw the, like, let me see, um, that is cooked grease down there. Like the nastiness and the color of the grease that is up in this thing is horrendous. The bottom spots here, there are wicks, and you put wicks in the springs. There's a retainer clip that clips down there, and then you fill this channel up with grease, and that will wick the grease up into the bottom side of that worm gear. We've got, there's one brush in here. The other brush, I sheared the top of the bolt off. This is a Bakelite bolt, so it's a plastic style bolt. So I wound up shearing that off, trying to get it out. I may have to drill this out very, very carefully. I would do that off stream. I've got new ones of these coming because I sheared that one off. This wire, would you trust this wire? I'm just, I'm not so sure I would trust these connections. So we're going to be redoing all of the connections, all the wiring. I've got new wiring coming in for it. Yeah, just the amount of crap that is falling out of this motor. I've got a, they call it a pig mat, but it's a absorbent mat here. So I'm just cleaning some things around here, but yeah, this is the stuff that has been falling out of this motor just as I've been, handling it. Right, and I can't get this fully out because I have to push the brushes out, and I can't push the brushes out until I get this shaft out. So I'm trying to get some oil and stuff on that to see, and I might have to go get some WD-40 or something before we can continue to work on that. Standard metal parts are sitting in some IPA. You can see that it's already doing its discolor, or it's getting discolored because it's pulling stuff off. This piece right here, we've already pulled out once and just rubbed on it a bit, and you'll see that it's already cleaning up nicely. And then what we'll do is I have some metal polish also coming in. So what we're trying to do is eat off this. This is all old oil. This really isn't like surface rust or anything like that. This is oil, and we're trying to get all of that off, especially this stuff right down here. And if we can get that off, we can go back in and rebuild this, shine everything up with some, yeah, see that's coming off. Get it shined up with some metal polish, make everything look good, and we'll put this back together, and we'll have this in the family for another 75 plus years, hopefully. Long after I have passed, that's for sure. And the child or children that gets this will be told that if they give this out of the family, I will haunt them till they are dead and gone. Hey Nick, how's it going? We did take the front plate off as well. Let me So we've got some springs that are full of gunk. This may have some surface rust. I don't know. We'll look at this. We'll get it in the IPA and get it soaking down some. Um, if there is surface rust, or if I find additional rust in here, that's no big deal. Um, I've got some evaporust that we can use, and I've also got some emery paper that we can use to um, to clean that stuff up. Once again, being as gentle as possible, trying not to take off any more material than we have to, but making it nice all the same. If you want to see some of the inner workings, let me flip this around, raise you guys up a little bit. So here's the front end. I have to reduce the zoom some. So once again, here's the front end. We still have our needle in here, and if I move the shaft by hand, everything's moving, right? Everything's doing its thing. It's moving. The bobbin down at the bottom. See if I can. Ooh, maybe not. Work with me. There's a clip underneath here that I'm trying to. Ooh, may take some. I think it pops. I thought it twisted. Oh, there we go. So yeah, we'll work on like cleaning the bottoms of this stuff up and getting this old oil off and things. Because that's what this is this is an old oil stain from oil. But you can see down here when I turn the shaft, the bobbin's moving. That tells me that everything underneath the machine and inside the machine is moving and working. The problem is it's just, it needs to be clean. The grease that is in there is just nasty. I may wind up having to take out the entire shaft, possibly. I don't know if I can. If not, I'm going to do what I can to clean everything up, and we'll just work on re-greasing from the inside out. Speaking of inner workings, we've got the inner workings here. Let me get a little bit of light on it. Right, so everything's moving, which is good, surprisingly, because it's dry. All of this is dry completely. So the fact that it's still moving this cleanly and well is a testament to the way these things were built. Once again, we're going to do as much cleaning as we can. I don't know how much disassembly I will be doing with the inner workings that's inside the casting, because there is like a rivet up here that I don't want to drill out if I can help it. But anything and everything else that I can take off to clean, I will. I think, does this piece light up? Don't know. Little rubber piece of some sort. Don't know what that is. Get off and set it aside. Hey, Chewy, how's it going? Yeah, this is an awesome sewing machine. Like I said, this is a family heirloom, and we're gonna do the right things. Like this piece here, this piece mounts to the back, and this is where all of our electrical wiring went into. You will see this is a bakelite housing, and you'll see there's one washer. So we only had one washer on it. I've got a new set of washers, and I wanted to just revive this, clean it up, wipe it down. However, there's a crack. So if I can get one of these, I'm going to order a new one of these. Um, these wire or these posts, which are the posts that the outlet actually plugs into, if I can get this to focus, there is a ton of corrosion on those varnish. And that would be a joy to try and clean. So if I can get a new one of these, it'll just be a little bit simpler. And I'm going to say safer since this one has already been cracked. Um, it's a safety issue. This is 120. There's 120 right here, right? So that to me is a safety thing. I will order a new one of these. I've already ordered a new one of these. Once again, these are 75 years old, Bakelite with heat inserts in them. These are screw down terminals or nuts. So yeah, we'll get new one of these on order. Nope, we are not answering that call. That is a telemarketer all the way. It does come with a light. And once again, I am not trusting this wire. The insulation, like this, it's not snapping right now, but this is flexible. This, not so much. This is, yeah, that's dangerous right there. That is straight up exposed wire, right? So we're going to take this apart. This piece right here is cracked the way it came. So I'm going to look, and I've been looking to see if I can get this light fixture. Like I've been able to find different parts, but not this particular shroud. You can see where it used to have the Singer decal on it, and it's just gone. If I can find this, I will try and replace this. If not, I'm not sure if this light bulb's still good or not. We'll take this apart because we're gonna have to rewire it. We're gonna clean the glass really good. We're gonna try and get rid of some of the surface rust. Um, and I'll probably have to get a couple. You can get these off Amazon. They're 120 volt, 15 watt. They're a push-in, they're a push-fit light bulb. You can still get these on Amazon, but it's a shame that that's cracked, and that's probably an indication that somebody may have rewired this and they used the wrong type of wire. And when they clamped this in, they cracked it, stress crack. But we'll get this poured apart. We'll get it cleaned up. I think it could be machine oil on the back of the reflector. That might be some surface rust because there is a reflector up underneath here. Yeah, we're just gonna have to tear this apart. Um, maybe we can work on that now. Shroud come like how? I need to get the rings off first. Get the clamping rings off. Definitely this comes apart. I need to be careful that I don't bust the Bakelite when I try and get these rings off. It'd be great if this thing just, oh, let out, boom. So we've got the Bakelite top. Now I can wipe that all down. We've got the reflector shroud. Should just slide on, yeah. So yeah, that's some gunk. We'll see if we can't wipe this down. And what wipes off, and if it doesn't wipe off, then, which it's not, yeah, so that is probably some rust. So I've got some evapor rests that we can put this in and get that cleaned up some. Um, these are spring tensioners. I have a feeling I need to kind of pry these up and out and over. Bayonet could also have been heat from the bulb. Yep. Can I press these out? I think it started. Trying to be very careful because once again, this is 75-year-old Bakelite plastic underneath this ring. So I want to be very careful that I don't bust anything trying to wiggle this up and out. That one's up 90%. Okay. Probably have really watched the video on how people are taking it out. One side, the other side. And this light bulb should just be able to pull out or do a quick little twist pull. Bayonet style that has a little tabs coming out both sides. So 15 watt or yeah, 15 watt, 120 volt. I'm going to probably say that that's shot looking at how that is. Oh yeah, it makes noise. So yeah, that light bulb shot. This other clamp will work this one up and off. And these two together are going to be clamping the two Bakelite halves together here on the base, which is used to close it up after you do the wiring. So get this up and off. And we would be able to get in and see the inside of the wiring here, which I'm sure is going to be just as bad as the other wiring that we've already seen. Okay, that came off. All right, two halves come apart. Again, Bakelite plastic, we'll have to clean that up. And here you go, here's your switch mechanism, right? There's your switch. Doing its clicky thing in each notch. And you've got one wire connected to one metal piece, which loops up here and comes up to this side. The other wire comes around and goes to the other side. We'll have to gently pop this out. Gently, gently. And there we go. So there's the spring for the switch that we need to definitely leave in there. And then there's that wiring. I'll work to clean this up. There is some rust and stuff on this. We'll clean that up a little bit. And eesh, I have a feeling that they didn't come in here and really fix the wiring up here, that what they did was Yeah, that's tough. I think what they did was they soldered new wire down here that they just cut it off, soldered new wire. Um, that's not good. I'll have to see if I can. Yeah, this I'm gonna have to think on this and see how best to work this. 'Cause see that's bare wire right there as well. That was a bare wire right at the edge. So that's no bueno. I may have to see if I can find anybody that has this, uh, the wire for this. At the very least, the wire. If not, if I can get the lower receptacle, like this whole piece, that would be even better if I can get just this whole piece with the wire, and the wire is in good condition, then that'll work as well. There's various things that a lot of people out on eBay are selling the different parts and pieces, and so I'll see what I can find there. Now though, I need a bigger bag than this one. Oh, that stuff there. There is no ground. It's just alive and neutral. So I'm gonna cut this off so I can get in there easier. There's no ground on this. It's just live and neutral wires. Um, I will be using uh, not screw terminals, but the round terminals. They are you want to use um, 18 gauge 2 conductor wire SPT1 insulation, which is a thinner insulation. If you do the thicker insulation, um, you have a better chance of cracking the bait light. Lunch is something you should make. Okay. Here's the hand wheel gearing. If you're still here, Freeheathen. So this is a plastic gear. This is not a metal gear, and it rides on that metal worm gear that we're trying to get the set screw out of, so that we can pull the shaft out of the motor. We don't want to break that. That's some thick glass too. Work on that. Put that in some evapor rust. We'll need to keep that stuff together. One for the wiring portion and one for the rest of the light here. Okay, let's see if I have a feeling we're going to wind up having to find some penetrating oil. That I'm pretty sure I don't have any water displacement attempt 40. sure I don't tear up my tools in this process either. Oh yeah, and that's great. There's two different set screws on this, by the way. I don't know which one I've been oiling and which one of the two I have not been oiling. I've oiled both. This one is slightly too wide. The other one is slightly too thin. Do I have a different? I have to go see if I've got a different screwdriver and a different kit that'll give me a little bit better bite in. All right, for now. Think I'm doing very well? Yeah, a vise might help. Um, I said a little bit of sewing machine oil on it, and let me run downstairs and look at one of the other home tool sets that we have, and see if I've got a different flathead. It's if this was a little narrower, this would probably be perfect. But bear with me for just a second, folks, and I'm also going to wash my hands when I do this. So I will mute you all. Let me go to the be right back screen, and I will be right back. Maybe. Be right back. Okay. And I'm back. Ah, by the way, because we're a 3D printing stream, those of you that remember we were doing the rat rig in copy mode, the rat rig mascot. The silver one broke off. I heard something hit and pop. This one broke off, so I had to stop it, but they were printing very well up until that point. So I'll have to keep trying. But that wire out. Okay. So what I found was this one, which I think is actually a whiter one. But I also found some of these bits, so this might prove useful, hopefully, as we're trying to work on this. Let's see if this gives us better light on this. No, that's still too wide. It's either too wide or not, I'll say, thick enough to. I don't know. There we go. That one popped. Let's see if we can get this other one to pop. Yes, that screws have been loosened. And that gear is now rotating. So I should still catch one. That screws are off. Now what I've got to do is work on pulling out the brushes, hopefully. No, maybe long enough that I can pull this out without getting the brushes. Come on. There we go. Where are the other? Give me centerpiece. Just too tight. Where's Mrs. Dragon? Mrs. Dragon is outside. There we go. So we're going to try and clean off some of the excess crud up in there. As you can now see what I'm starting to look like, and I just washed my hands. Um, of course I did. So this is the actual motor wire. Pop out through there. We'll, knock some more of that out. There's our worm drive gear. We'll clean that up. Okay, our carbon brushes were um, pretty well used. Pop out or not? Trying to knock the brush out. And the electrode holds the brush in. We got one brush out. The other side I know is going to be more difficult because I've got to, um, I've got the screw busted. One of the screws I'm going to have to replace. Eagle Dragon, Mrs. Dragon is outside with Elon, working in the yard. So Evil Diesel's daughter came over and they are doing stuff in the yard together. Don't want to bust these. There's the other brush and spring. Um, so this brush didn't have a spring that came out with it, so that's awesome. Um, and this is when I should have had my gloves on because now I've really got grease and grime and gunk all over me. Um, what I'm trying to do now is the brush holders that go in here. I'm trying to work out, hopefully in such a way that I don't wind up having to resolder those. But yeah, we're gonna have to clean all of this gunk up because you can see what's falling out here on the table. And because we're dealing with brushes, this is all carbon from said brushes. I think I might have to look. There was a guy that had a tool that he was punching these out with, and it looked like 3D printed. So if I can get a size, I can 3D print something where I can push this whole casing out. And once we can pop that casing out, at the very least, we're going to be redoing these two wires right here, these two winding wires. Because this wire is toast. This wire is toast. We're replacing this wire. We'll pop this heat shrink off. We'll have to cut these down as minimal as we can so that we have the most wire that we can work with, and because we don't want to try and redo these windings. And we'll resolder new fresh wire on. Same thing for the light. And we'll have to clean all of this up. We'll clean this up. We'll wipe this down. We may use some emery paper to clean this off as well because we'll want nice and clean there. Same thing here. We'll wipe this down. If we need to, we will washer there. Just clean everything up. yeah, I mean, that's just a lot of carbon and crap there from the carbon brushes getting used, right? So we're going to work on cleaning this up as best as we can. I I'm not sure. Ethan, would you know, would there be anything on here that would prevent me to basically just sitting this in a cleaner? You know, because this should just be copper and magnets, right? So I should be good to set this like just down in a bucket of acetone or something like that. Or actually, this would be lacquered wire, right? So maybe not acetone, but maybe um, some more IPA. And like I said, I got new brushes and they're a lot bigger than that. Um, yeah, the new brushes and springs versus the old brush and spring. I guess it's not as big or as much of a difference. But that is some very old carbon brushes there, brand new ones. I don't know if you can tell the color difference there, but huge difference. I'm gonna take these two and just toss them, almost like I was working on an engine motor. Yeah, new brushes are always wild. Don't want to damage the wiring. Um, so yeah, that's why I want to pop these out so I don't damage the wiring that's going to the like copper shafts that go around the brushes. Um, this wiring I'll cut off high, try and get the heat shrink tubing off, and salvage as much of the length as I can. Because this it's supposed to be knotted like this if I remember right for strain relief. Um, Definitely need to get this crap off. And now we're going to be in cleaning mode on this stuff. Um, we can probably work on wiping this stuff down. Let me move this off the table, the motor stuff. Move that over here. Partly because my hands are completely filthy now, and I'm going to have to go and wash these down again a little bit. I will have to figure out, like I said, I need to push this. There's a liner in here that goes around the brush. I need to push those out because that's what's connected to these two wires here. So I'm going to need to get that out. And once I get those out, then I can start working on cleaning that entire housing. And we'll have to clean up the windings of the motor as well. Um, Stuff I'm just going to throw in there for now. This is that worm drive with its two set screws. I'll set this in some IPA as well. Work on getting this nice and cleaned up. Getting all the excess old grease out of it so that when we go to install it again, we're getting nice fresh grease. We'll do some assembly. I've got grease and oil and stuff like that for the sewing machine, so we'll get fresh grease in here. Make sure everything is rolling well. Um, yeah. So here's the front plate off of the machine with the tensioner. This is what I broke my coffee cup when I dropped it. But you see here, this is oil that's creeped in along the edge as this face was on the front of the machine. And then here's all just years of dinge and oil and crud. We should be able to, wow, we're going to be able to get this cleaned up nicely. And I even have some metal polish so that we can polish up um, these pieces after we get them cleaned up. Because with this off the machine, I can use any cleaner I need to get this clean. Of course, we'll take the tensioning part, the black bit, we won't use any harsh cleaners on, but everything else in here that's metal, we can use harsh cleaners on. If this is surface rust and not just oil buildup, then I do have a Vapo Rust that I can put in and clean that stuff all up, and we'll be fine. But yeah, this is pretty darn cool. Not where it's supposed to be, I don't think. Oh, no, that is. Yeah, gotcha. So yeah, we're gonna work on getting this cleaned up. I'll take this apart and bag it up separately. Might do that off stream, and we'll work on getting all that stuff. Like I said, here's the one. Um, there's all the crud that's come out of the motor housing so far. That's why I have this down on the thing. But yeah, let me run downstairs and try and wash my hands once again. And then I'll come up, glove up, and we'll work on trying to wipe this down and clean this up some. There is so much gunk on this side housing here. We'll slowly start working on stripping some more things. I think I got some more felt, so we'll replace these as well. If not, I'll add them to the next order. So give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Gonna have to go to the auto parts store and get some Gojo just for my hands. And yes, I know I didn't mute the mic, but that is because my hands are so filthy. And I'm heading back. Pumpkin. Ah, okay, I will glove back up. Should have had on when I was taking that motor apart, but so the mat that I have on my surface here, this is a brand called Pig Mat. It's an absorbent universal leak and spill pad. So it's good if you've got grease, oil, stuff like that. A lot of mechanics use it when they're working on engines and stuff like that. Um, I just figured it would be a much easier way to keep things clean. There for now. Um, they are perforated, so I could literally, literally tear this off and move this as a whole over to the other table. Not to make a mess on everything else. But yeah, I'm basically using it to ensure that I don't mess up my nice piece of countertop there that we use for all of our builds. And also so I don't make a mess in other places and get in trouble with Mrs. Dragon, because, you know, happy wife, happy life. So the Singer sewing machine here, it's a black lacquer with clear lacquer finish. So they paint it black, and then they add the decaling, and then they add a clear lacquer finish. So some of what we're seeing here, like I still can't tell if this is the top lacquer, but I do have some defined bumps and ridges here. So some of this is gunk, but I can't tell like if this area here that's nice and shiny, if if this is just the black lacquer showing through, and this is yellowed and gunked up clear lacquer, or if this is gunk on top of everything and this is the clear lacquer here that's nice and shiny that I've already wiped down with some oil. I don't know. But what we're going to be doing, and I've seen this part, I think, yeah, this, I might be able to get this piece here off. Gentle tappity tap. Because this is a dovetail joint. Yep, it's not coming off. So it might be, I'm not wanting to wail on it, but there is a dovetail joint here. So when we screw it in, it screws all the way through. It may just have, there's a lot of gunk and stuff here. This looks like some, yep, melted. This looks like melted wire insulation right there. But what we're going to do is just take some sewing machine oil, right? Oh yeah, I'm loving this sewing machine. And like I said, this is a family heirloom. I'm just going to drizzle some oil on here. Yeah, I know it's going to run down. That's perfectly fine. And I need to be soft and gentle because once again, 75-year-old lacquer paint. So we're going to use some cotton balls, some Q-tips to get into places. And I'm just getting some oil there. I'm probably going to put a little bit of oil directly onto my cotton ball. Stuff is relatively cheap. If you need to, get more. And just seeing that running down, right? I want to be very gentle because there's a lot of gunk on here. And I could have started off if I had like a brush and just brushed some of it off. But this is, I'll say, a little bit beyond just lint, right? This is caked on garbage. If it was straight up dust, we could pull dust off, using a brush. But this is caked on garbage that's coming off. Like I said, it looks like there was um, some wire insulation right here, um, dust bunny, heaven type thing. So we want to be just careful that we don't damage the paint up. Use as little as possible, but you can see what I'm getting off of here. And that's why we're going to just take our time. We're going to basically work through layers of love on this machine. Because that's what this is. This is a machine that was used by her grandmother, obviously making a lot of stuff for family members throughout the years, right? And this oil, we're going to put oil on here and let it sit. And that oil will start to, uh, one, add some more moisture back into the layers upon layers upon layers of old oil, kind of rehydrate it so that we can start taking some stuff off. And then, as you can see, it's going to shine some things up. So we're just going to work our way around slowly. And you can let this sit on there for longer periods of time. And in essence, what you're going to wind up doing is leaving a very thin layer or sheen of sewing machine oil over this whole thing. You'll come back and you'll keep wiping it off, but you are going to leave a sheen of oil on here, and that's going to help protect the machine itself. Right? That's going to help protect this lacquer as this thing continues to age and be used. That's why we're trying to use light pressure and materials that aren't abrasive. You don't want to use an abrasive cleaner. You don't want to use um, abrasive type materials like a Scotch pad or anything like that. Because you'll damage this paint. And if you damage this paint, you're never going to get it back. The only thing that you can do at that point would be to strip the entire thing down, right? Clean cotton ball, dirty cotton ball. Would be to strip the entire thing down and repaint it. And if you strip it all down and repaint it, you've lost the heritage in it. Like if this was not a family piece, then maybe that would be worthwhile if I could get my hands on a set of the Singer decals. But this is a family heirloom. Like this is important to Eagle the Dragon and Mrs. Dragon, that this be preserved as much as possible. That's what we're doing here is I'm just working on preserving. And if it means I need to do this 20, 30 times to just continuously take off layers, then I keep doing this until that's not happening anymore. Right? And this oil, I've said it a couple of times. This is just what I've heard other people say, is that oil was the one thing that Singer was sure would not interact with the paint because it was meant to have oil all on it. Yep, gloves on, Pez Liz. We've already had, well, I've already had to go wash my hands 3 times when we took the motor apart. The motor is sitting right there, and the amount of garbage, well, when I say garbage, I mean carbon deposits that came out of that motor, which is all of this stuff here. The wiring is shot. So we will be rewiring the motor and stuff. But I've had to clean my hands like 3 times already today because I wasn't wearing the gloves, and that's what we're working on right now. I also broke my coffee mug. Dropped a piece of the sewing machine on it and broke the handle. So much rather it broke my coffee cup than the part of the sewing machine, though. We've got metal parts sitting in IPA. This is the same IPA you see me use all the time. So I think this is 91% IPA. Yeah, 91% IPA. And we're just using that as a little bit more of a solvent that we can use on the metal parts. We do not want to use IPA or acetone or anything like that on this sewing machine paint, or you will strip it. And you will wind up going into a major, major expense to have somebody, well, if you want, professionally repaint and find the decals and re-add the decals and stuff like that. So, and I didn't want to do that. This is family heirloom stuff. Westery, no fixie, no likey, the tinkering. Really, Westery? Really? You gotta be in the mood to tinker. The Sunlu S9 Plus has been sitting for about a year as a partial project. You got your A1 working. Well, and that's the thing is once you get something working, it's like, okay, I'm good. I've got something working and the project goes and just sits there. Bear with me, folks. I think I just got a nosebleed. I did. Um, so yeah, bear with me. But yeah, tinkering's fun, but when you're not in the mood to tinker, you just need something to print or just need something to work. You know, that's why I've got so many printers here is when the time comes where I just need something to work and print, I got something. If I need a project, I got one of those too. I'm sorry, I can't read chat right now because I'm trying to hold my head up as I'm dealing with a nosebleed, which I don't know how that happened out of the blue. Um, so the inner workings here, I brought y'all in at one point. The inner workings are they're still working. Like everything goes up and down and stuff like that. You can see it in here. Everything's working. Um, they're just it seems fairly dry in here. So we're definitely going to have to oil some stuff up in this process. Um, and once again, the oil is going to be our friend in dealing with stuff right now because it was the one thing that the manufacturer knew was going to be all over this machine and wouldn't interfere with the paint. So using the oil, taking our time, going layer by layer, we will get this done. And using things like cotton balls, we'll basically be buffing this as we're cleaning it. And you'll be able to see that um, that paint just come to life more and more and more as we get years and years and years of gunk and dust and what have you off of this machine. This will be the part that I'll continue to work on just kind of daily is doing this part because this is going to be the time consuming part is working around and cleaning all this stuff. And this area right here is where the motor was, and that's why it's even more gunked up than like over here where can and material was constantly crossed. Seeing all the carbon deposits and stuff we had inside, I'm not shocked to be seeing the amount of stuff that I'm pulling off. You know, it's And like I said, there's stuff right here. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get it off because it looks like the insulation had melted into the side of the housing. Um, and I don't want to get, like I said, I don't want to get abrasive on it because I could take the paint off with it. And I really don't want to take the paint off, and I'm letting oil sit up here. You can see that puddle there. I'm just letting it sit there to soak into this area because whatever's on the surface, it looks like cracks. It looks like aged leather with spider cracks all the way through it. So I'm going to let that sit. Same thing with like this ridge here, and you can see there's this shiny spot that comes up like this. Like I said, I can't tell if this is the clear lacquer on the top and this is there's an obvious ridge here, but is this yellowed gunk that I can take off, or is this the top clear lacquer coat that's yellowed and I'll say aged poorly? That um and this is just the underlying black. I can't tell. So the best thing I can do is just let it sit and let it work its magic a bit, and we'll see if we can't bring it back. Now I'm going to let this stuff over here set for a little bit. I'm going to turn this around and we'll see this other side here. I've been hitting this side as well with the oil. This part right here, I'm going to have to get a buffing wheel on a like a buffing wheel on a Dremel, and I'm going to try and buff this up and get it back a little bit. Same thing down here with our serial plate. This is right here is the serial plate, which is how I figured out that this was basically a 1949, 1950 sewing machine. And I've done oil down here a couple, 3 times already. So this area right here that we see, there was a piece of fabric wrapped around here with a couple of pins in it. And this is scratches from where they were using that fabric as a pin cushion. So as they were coming up and sewing, they would take the pins out and put them there in the pin cushion. And so this is, I'll say, historical usage damage, right? So that's definitely something we want to leave there. We don't want to try and do anything that would cause that to go away. If we can help it, we'll try and buff everything up. I was adding some oil up here. This piece right here is supposed to be able to screw out and release the tension on the spring. It's not budging. I'm going to need penetrating oil here if I can't get just standard sewing machine oil to do the trick. But once again, this area up here, it feels like a lot of weathering, a lot of, love, dust, stuff like that. There's a part of me that's hesitant to, but I will possibly take this stuff further apart. We'll see how far I go on the teardown of that part. Don't forget the underside, folks. And we're just going to keep going until we come out with, clean cotton balls. If we need to get into the crevices, we've got cotton swabs. Just use some of these. And we'll just keep digging away at this. Layer by layer. Somebody by that name, isn't it? Yeah, my poor mug. I'd much rather it be the mug than anything else. But yeah. So you can see how many scratches and stuff are up on here. That's, and the decal completely worn away down here. I I I want to keep that. Like I don't want a perfect decal set because this shows that the machine was used. You know, we're reviving a machine and bringing it back to what is it? It's a preservation, not a restoration, is what Chris said the other day on the stream, and that's very true. We're trying to preserve this machine. We're not trying to restore it to a pristine condition and put it in a museum or anything like that. Um, yeah, I need to get in here and try and clean up around this because I don't think I'm getting this out. I need to understand all the different doodads. So we've got different tensioning mechanisms up here. I think this is thread count per inch. I think. I don't know, but I think it's like it sets your thread count per inch. Um, get a little bit of oil on that and see if we can't wipe down that mechanism, get some old grime off of it. This whole housing here, the cover on front obviously can come off. The one on the back comes off, and that's where you can grease it, the mechanics from the back side. And once again, this front side here is more for, you know, setting your stitches, and you might be able to see if something's loose or needs to be oiled, but I can tear down this front bobbin area as well. Maybe that's something we do now. One more cotton balls I grabbed. We'll go ahead. I want to let this oil sit some more. Take off at least one. Like I keep trying to save my gloves. I don't need to save gloves. I got boxes of gloves around. So we're also gonna have to work on cleaning up the underworkings here. Um, we've got our bobbin in here and everything. I think we need to start by taking that thumb screw off. Get it. And of course that one's on there. Stuck my hand in oil. Put back down, oil off the hand. There we go. And this has a spring on it, so be careful. I have to take this whole mechanism apart because this is where you get a lot of lint and just cruft and stuff. So, you know, linty cruft and stuff is down here around your bobbin area. So I'm just getting the bulk of the cruft off of there. And then that would be something else that we'll toss in some IPA. Our set screw, that'll go in some IPA as well. Or not set screw, but thumb screw. Thanks for the lurk there, Free Heathen. Not sure how all this comes out. So, okay, there's the bobbin. Bobbin did have thread on it too. So. There was thread on this, so it has been used in the past. And that is some kind of old nasty. So I'll get the thread off of here. I did order some new bobbins just in case. These are a specific size and style of bobbin. They're flat sides. Um, Not sure if this is supposed to be an off-white or if it is just off-white because it's been in there for so long. You'd think that deeper in it would go back to white if it was an actual white. But I'm curious to see because a lot of times once you get towards the core of these, when they've been sitting there for a while, it's pretty much almost permabonded and you have to scrape it off the inside edge of the bobbin. Sitting here, unwinding the bobbin into the garbage can. Bobbins, bobbins, bobbins. Yep. Hey, Evil Diesel. No gloves with lubing. Um, I've had the gloves on. I've had the gloves off. So Evil Diesel, check this out. If I can get it over there. See the motor there? I cannot express to you how much crap has fallen out of that motor and the amount of carbon stuff that has fallen out from those brushes being just shredded. Um, yeah, it's a mess. And I've got to come up with a punch system to punch one of the pieces out that hold the brushes in so that I can work on the wiring because I'm going to have to rewire it after I clean it up and get all the carbon deposits off of it. Well, darn it, I keep dropping the bobbin. This would say put something in the middle of this, like, I don't know. Put a put a driver through it, and then you can just unwind the bobbin. I actually had quite a bit of thread on it. And there we go. Now we're getting the snaggle stack or snags of this being in here for so long. Can I cut some of it without cutting myself? All righty. Well, that actually came out really nice. So we'll be able to use that one. I don't even need to polish this. This is in a darn good condition. Um, so this is gonna have some, we're gonna have to work on that. And I think this is rust. I don't think that is, um, yeah, from the feel of that, that is rust. So that'll go in some evapor rust. Um, Inside looks pretty good. There's a small spot of corrosion. Where is it? Um, Kind of right there. There's a very small spot of corrosion on the inner wall there. But the majority of it's on the outside edge there. We'll have to work on that. This piece, what else do I here? Screws on each side of that. Oops, you guys aren't. What I'm trying to do is take the screws off of this top ring. One, other side, if I can get my driver in the screw head. Then I'll get my head out of the way. Oh, easier if I flip it up on its end. However, to do that, I'm going to get this oil out of the way. So let's just go ahead and wipe that down. Like I said, every successful or successive layer of putting oil on this and letting it sit should break down some more garbage that we can pull off of this motor housing or the base housing here, right? And the longer you let it sit, the more it'll be able to work. But it's a lighter or lower, we'll say, what am I trying to say? A less solventy option of trying to get this stuff off. Less chance that we will do harm to the machine or its paint using just sewing machine oil. It'll take a lot longer, but just less chance of damage. All right, this one is playing hard to get. I'm gonna have to put some oil on that and let it sit, maybe apply a little bit of heat. Once again, is why we're using the pig pad, is if we have to put some oil on things, it doesn't just leak down into our surface and damage our. Um, yes. What's he waiting on? Oh, you're about to head to Ravenforge. Been helping Mrs. Dragon. Oh, I didn't realize he was here. Oh, okay. So is he waiting for me to go with him to Ravenforge then? Okay. All righty. Well, folks, I am being summoned. There's a birthday that I need to go to today. So hey, Bexy Beans, how's it going? I did not realize it, but Evil Diesel had been hanging out here waiting for the time to go, and he was going to drag me with him. So this is kind of where we're at right now. Um, so Miss Beans, since you just got here, quick update. We took the front cover off the sewing machine, dropped it and broke the handle on my coffee cup in the process. Um, the sewing machine part's good. It's sitting over there in the bag. We removed the light, took that apart. The wiring's trash. Gonna have to redo that. Remove both motor covers. We have removed the hand wheel and the motor. The motor's sitting over on the desk. We've got metal parts just sitting here in some IPA soaking. We've got parts of the bobbin sitting over here. We took the electrical stuff out of the back end of this, and that's kind of where we're at. We've cleaned up, sort of cleaned up. We've been taking layers off little by little. We're going to let this set and let the residual oil on it continue to soak in and do its work. And we'll continue buffing it off with with cotton balls and stuff. You'll see, you can see where it's like shiny, and then there's like this texture that almost looks like dried vinyl or whatever. I can't tell if the textury area is the clear coat or if it's crud that's on top of it. There is a ridge. So we'll have to work on that still. We'll see how well we can take things off, but I'm trying not to use a heavy solvent on this yet, because I don't want to damage the paint and take any more of the decal off. But this, I think, is where we're going to stop for the day. I will continue over the next couple of days to oil this down and clear it off to try and see what we can get stuff done. I'm going to continue to start cleaning up our straight metal parts. I'm not sure. I'm probably going to tear this down, the front head down to the extent that I can clean everything. I am starting to find some rust on parts, which I was concerned about. So I definitely want to get in here and get things apart so that I can either sand it with some emery cloth. I have 1000, 1500, 2000, and 2500 grit sandpaper, or emery cloth. And I also have some evapor rust that I can just like dunk this in and let it eat rust away. But that's kind of where we're at for right now. I'm being called to jump in the car and take a, get out of here and go to a birthday party. So try a scrub daddy in hot water to soften the scrub fibers. Nearly everything in life can be fixed with a scrub daddy. Everything that I have watched says not to use anything that's abrasive. Start with the sewing machine oil itself, because that was the only thing guaranteed to not chemically react with the lacquer. I'm not doing a full restoration where I would strip this completely down and then repaint it, because this has, we're going to call it wear and tear and beauty marks. Like you can see, the decals are pretty much all worn off here. We've got a whole series of scratches up here where they had taken a piece of cloth, wrapped it around with bobby pins. So this is the pen holder. So as they were sewing, they were taking the pins out and jabbing it. So we've got all kinds of nicks and character marks in the paint there. So yeah, that's what we're working on. But thank you everybody for being here. I know that this is slightly different than what we're used to seeing on the channel, but I am so glad to see so many people that took an interest in this. This is cool. This is not every day that we get to work. Like, we're used to working on new tech. We're not used to working on old tech and bringing it back to life so that it can live on for another 75 plus years, right? So, and hopefully this gets you to realize that you've got YouTube, you've got manuals. None of this stuff is scary. There's nothing involved here that's any different than working on any one of these machines, right? Cleaning, maintenance, lubing things, some electrical, pretty easy, right? Just be safe, take your time, enjoy the process. And with that, thank you, thank you. Let me see who we can raid out to today, because I've been summoned and I've got to get the heck out of here. So he has to send Goober in here a second time. Hey, Westery One's just printing and testing because she's sitting in here talking to us. Huh. Westery, you should jump on a camera and say hi to the world. Is Ugly Moo up and running? I didn't see. Oh, yes, he is up and running. I didn't see that. I'm here if you want to see Mia. She is on the camera. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, okay. Thanks, Bob Ross. Or I'm sorry, not Bob Ross. Free Heathen, I didn't see the Ugly Moo was there. Yeah, I will jump over to Ugly Moo. Westery, sis, give me all my love. And I love you guys. By the way, Free Heathen, the guy I'm going to see is his birthday is our DM on Friday nights. Here's my little mudkin, dude, that he gave me. I made friends with a little mudkin. So yeah. So take it easy, everybody, and I will see you guys next time. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I probably won't stream tomorrow, but I will definitely be streaming Tuesday. You guys take care, and I will be sure to post all the pictures I can on Discord. And if I do things off stream to continue cleaning, I'll post some more progress pics on Discord. Thanks all. Bye now. If you're watching this on YouTube and you like what you see, or like that we do various different things on the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe down there. Click on the bell to get notified of future videos, and YouTube's going to be suggesting a video over here to the side. Take care. Have a great day.